here we are. Thank you again for this video you created for us. And now we can have a discussion if we like. We have some time. We have about half an hour. I think the presidents of SHARE from other countries, Christos Christodoulou is here, Sherban Tiganas, and I invite them if they like to also participate in the discussion, as well as the speakers from the previous sessions. I see some of them. I see Din La, I see some of the others. So please, if there are questions, we can start having a discussion with Professor Herzberger. First, to start things rolling, I would like to say that I did have a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about, but your video was so inspiring and so centered to the essence of things. I think somebody will need to close the microphone so we don't have other sounds. Okay. So.
Er is iets, ik weet niet, iets van een microfoon die moet worden aangesloten.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
We can hear you very well.
So what's the problem?
No, from somebody else, not from you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, yours is very good. So I had a couple of questions which you answered in this very
okay, go on.
For explosion, but still I will ask them. This is not very the way things are done, but this is a photograph from the Apollo school.
This is not the Apollo school, no, this is another school.
That's what it says in the page, in the caption.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is from the first book. It is from the first book.
Sure.
And when I got it in my hands a few decades ago, it is something that stuck to my mind, and in a sort of, it kind of encapsulated the things that you told us today. Because there, at the landing of this metal staircase, there was a small inflection of the surface.
Yeah.
You showed better examples today with the kids on the steps and the shoes and everything. So, but for me, this was an architectural gesture in a very small scale that something could be, as you say, left to be interpreted by the user, whether I will sit there or have it only as a boundary or move up the steps. And since I was very happy to hear that you made a connection earlier on with Louis Kahn, when I saw this photograph in your book, I connected it in my mind to a little passage by Louis Kahn. He describes a child running up a staircase and an old man walking down. And they meet at the landing, and at the landing, they stop because the child needs to catch its breath, and the old man also.
Yeah.
And Louis Kahn says, this is a room. Here you have a community of people. The old man that rests and the young boy that stops.
Yeah.
So when I saw this photograph, I thought, this is it. This is architecture. Okay, this is space. And with just one simple movement.
But the idea is to make conditions for meeting each other everywhere, even on stairs.
Even on stairs.
And the landing of the stair is just a moment of how do you say, not moving. So this is the place where you can say,
yes.
You know, and you don't need an old man for that.
No, you need a young boy running.
Yeah.
So a question arises out of that and it relates to the examples that you showed us. You talked to us about what you did not like, the salami, okay, and the big empty spaces, and you make corners.
No salami because you must make everything one space.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So the question I have is this: can architectural thinking, if architectural thought can originate from such small episodes, small constructions, small-scale things, how can that idea, that concept, be transferred to the large scale? Because I think that architects when they build large and they have to repeat things, it is very difficult to do that. I see the kind of answer that you give in your buildings, which is to break it up into smaller parts. But is it possible to control the large scale? That's my question.
Yeah, but even with very big things, you need to articulate that into smaller parts, because you have to adapt to the world of a person, of persons at any moment. And when I'm walking in the street, I'm not thinking of the big scale. I am interested in what's around me.
So in that sense, what we understand about architecture is very much to do with our body and how we relate to things and to the other, which we can comprehend the scale around us. If you talk about 15 stories high, it's not possible to comprehend the scale.
No. But when you have a high rise, you have slices that are compartments in itself, but they're not connected. The idea is to make always compartments and connect them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the connection that it's not about just being in a space, but it's also always the idea to be connected with the rest of the world. You're going to have both, the ambiguity.
Yes, ambiguity I think is important, as you say, but a lot of the grand gestures that we see today, the architectural ones, they tend to showcase a large, impressive form. It is the form, especially on a huge scale of a building, that is kind of magnetizing us. To do what you say, you always, if you articulate into small, you show the parts. You show, like in Central Behir, we can tell the articulation, we can see the units.
But also the whole.
Also the whole.
Yeah. And when you are in a church, you might have a cupola, and in the cupola there's a painted opening to the sky, to the gods.
Yes.
So that the gods can also look into the church, you know. So when the architect is at the end of his story, then the painter takes it over and shows the angels and everything. So it's always being covered, being protected, and at the same time openness to the world.
Yeah.
You know, when you have walls, what is the most important thing of walls is the openings in the wall. So you have a wall, so to say, to be able to make openings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Windows.
I don't know if the participants want to join in. I also want to ask if we have any questions, and if, for example, Dimitris Antonakakis or somebody else is here, and they could relate to me the questions. Just to carry on this conversation to a parallel thing. Central Behir, which you presented to us, the insurance company has left the building. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a terrible situation. You know, they don't know what to do with the building.
I read somewhere that they were
going to discussion. Yeah.
I read somewhere that they going to convert it to houses and various facilities.
That is an idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is not yet financially. It is not yet fixed.
Realized.
Yeah. So this is one of my problems.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I am still doing what I'm doing.
Do you think that a building like that, which has become iconic for all of us because we can understand what the intention was there, do you think that it can facilitate such a change, and it is beneficial if it does? to change from offices to being residential.
Yes, I think this was the original idea, making space units that could be used um, for different purposes, for different tasks. So I hope to be still there to see how this idea
The change
will really be realized.
Yes. Yes. I have a question here. I can read it, but please, the participant as well can change. I'm reading from a question from one of the audience. It says, it is touching how anthropocentrically Mr. Hertzberger approaches architectural designs as seen through the transitional and multifunctional spaces he designs. I was wondering, what are his thoughts about architecture in pandemic era? So they're asking about Corona.
Well, it is too young to really have to conclude what this pandemic is doing, and we hope that it will stop. But at least it shows how important social contact is. You know, we are talking the whole day long about lack of social contact. And in fact, it proves exactly that we are not individuals and that we should find ways to live together. And we are frustrated that this is impossible today, you know. So don't ask me to outline an architecture for this pandemic, because I am optimistic and I think this will be over in half a year maybe.
Yes, that's what one hopes for. Still, you see, I have seen there are some attempts at competitions or discussing what the post-Corona era will be, how we will design. Do you think when it goes away, it will have left its mark? For example, I was reading the other day, I don't know if it was Bill Gates or somebody else, who was saying that...
Listen, the only way to survive as mankind is that we are clever and use all the means, all the technical means we have today. It's fantastic that we are able to invent a vaccine. What is it? Vaccine.
Yes.
Vaccine. And that sort of things. And we'll find out ways to get energy without having oil and gas. And this is our hope. That our brains are able to overcome all this. And as architects, we just have to go on to make conditions for what is the basic need, what is one of the basic needs of people, and that is to find each other, to talk with each other. And I like to talk with you on the screen, but I also like to touch you, you know. Maybe not precisely touch you, but see your reaction.
Yeah.
In a less abstract way.
You know, as you made this gesture, it reminded me. You will know better than me. There is the Dutch philosopher Martin Buber. German. Yeah. And Martin Buber says that what is between us, what you exactly made, and that's important in architecture, is this void. Without this void, which is not a void, we cannot communicate with each other.
No, I'm very strongly based on this Ich und Du.
Ich und Du,
of Buber. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So no, I'm just to continue on the question somebody asked. I agree with you, but I'm thinking when now people say that even after Corona, 30% of education or work will be teleworking, like we're doing now. So if that happens, that means we think of designing our houses for work, for university. I mean, for 6 months, the university has been this room of mine with the books behind. I talk to my students through here since March.
Absolutely. So that we not need to make a curtain behind us when we are speaking, you know, that you are part of. Maybe this helps to make connections.
Yeah,
we have to find out.
Yes, it's very. I mean, it's like you talked about ambiguity before, which I think is very important as a concept. The door. There is this very interesting door in Paris by Marcel Duchamp, and there is one door in the corner which closes, opens, and it's one door for two openings. So that's ambiguous.
Sure.
So I'm thinking technologies like this. Technology is useful because I was able to see and talk to Hermann Herzberger and all my colleagues without being there. On the other hand, I'm still in my room.
Yeah, but everything will change. We will have big transformations. You are describing maybe the different idea of a house, that you are also working in your house, and that's going on, you know.
Since you say that, would you, if you design today Central Behir, which we all know, at least through images, would you do it differently? Would you do something differently? Or exactly the same?
I try to. It is, yes. The answer is yes.
What would that be? What would be the difference, the main difference?
I cannot answer you that question. We have to talk after some time.
Yeah.
I'm in the midst of it. Yeah.
You are in the midst of it. So there are other projects where one can work on this idea.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So keep strong so we can see what comes up in the future.
Yeah.
Let me just invite, I don't know if you would like to say something from your side, Professor Herzberger. I see Frédérique Monjanel is here. She's said she's somewhere in Provence, not in Paris. I do not know if she would like to join in. Or Sherban, would you like to perhaps make some comments?
You want me to make comments? No, I talked already 50 minutes. So
No, I'm talking about the participants, the other participants.
I would like to interfere if possible.
Please do.
Yes, I was watching with a lot of interest this discussion, and I wonder if I can challenge you to talk about what's happening with the modern era. How do you see the future as continuing slightly and modifying or repairing the mistakes of the modern era, or turning the back completely to it and inventing and providing something which is we may say totally new? How do you see the future in this regard, and especially related to the thinking which is started and it's continuing from the modernism?
I don't see the future. I mean, we are making the future, but I don't see the future as a distinct situation, you know. The only thing is learning. We have to learn, you know. We never are there. You know, it is not being in Ithaca, but it's going to Ithaca to make a reference with one of your
Gaddafi.
Yeah. And I don't know. Don't ask me how the world will be sometime. I'm only trying to change eyes and, for instance, say, let us start as architects to do serious things and not just make beautiful acrobatic sort of very, very, very big sculptures. Let's go to the inside. Architecture is about space and not about objects. And two, we really have to learn to talk and to think and to draw, as far as we're still drawing, space and not anything else. Space for people to meet and well, yeah, that's it. In fact.
Serban, something else? Are you okay?
Well, I can go on for hours if you like,
Yeah.
but it's always the same thing.
We have still some time. We have one question from one of the presenters today, a young architect from Greece, Mr. Tsambikos Petras, if you would like to ask the question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Herzberger. Thank you for being here with us. I would like to make a question. I want to ask that if these all observations and ideas and thoughts in your books we are reading and reading all over again are something you have experienced in your childhood, or is something you have seen in by traveling, or is something related with Aldo Van Eyck? Because we can see that there are many similarities with many the Mediterranean way of using the space, probably. Thank you.
Well, that's a lot of questions together. I mean, we are all constructed by our youth. You know, the conditions of our youth. So am I. I was part of Second World War, and I learned about what might be liberty, and what is the opposite of liberty. And I learned from Van Eyck, and I learned from my traveling, what you were saying, but not only from Van Eyck. You have to be open and get all the influences from all situations, where you are, when you are in a shop, or you are in a train, or you are just in the street. Everywhere, keep your eyes open and let all the impressions come in. What nice sketches you have on your background. I mean, I have the feeling that you are also experimenting and trying to find, not within architecture, but from the outside of architecture, to form an architectural idea. Let's not be in our bulb, you know, in our, what do you say, bulb? Yeah, and just go outside and get our nurture from there, you know.
I should say something. Sorry that to interrupt. It's the distance of the relay of the sound, the time lag.
I just want, no, okay, go on. Yeah.
No. Finish off your sentence, and then
I would say that architects too much are busy to fulfill a program in order to get the next job. They want to be extremely important, extremely new, if you like, futuristic, and it is mostly based on getting your next job to get money for your office and so on. And that's the wrong mentality. At the same time, architects want to be artists, and that doesn't go together. By the way, architecture is not artwork, because artwork is what it is, and it doesn't change, and architecture always is changing and always has to adapt, or has to be adapted, or has to be able to be adapted by new influences. It could be a pandemic, it could be something else, it could be economic circumstances. So we must have an open mind, making open systems.
I think Mr. Petras had also another reason for asking the question, except for the obvious one, and that is when he mentioned Aldo van Eyck and yourself and the playgrounds. He has won a prize in a competition. Now he's building his first kindergarten. So there is an area to explore there. And you are a very important president.
What I learned from Van Eyck was not his forms, was not the things he made, but was his way of thinking. I learned from the working of his brains. And not only Van Eyck, also Bakema was a fantastic person.
Yeah. And
Joop Hardy, he was not an architect, but he saw all the possibilities in the world. By the way, you said that Aldo van Eyck was my teacher. He was, and he was not.
Yes.
He was not my teacher, but I learned very much from just being with him together, and together making translations of texts. Then I found out how this man is thinking. Think and work as an artist, but don't make art. Make another kind of thing, or if you like, an art that can change, that can adapt to new situations and to people.
Okay, now since we're drawing to a close, I just want to ask if the colleagues that I can see, Mr. Papalambropoulos, Ms. Papavasiliou, or Dean Lach, if they want to ask a question. Perhaps? No? They're all okay. Just one last comment then, that looking at your presentation today and the photographs, the work of a photographer kept coming to my mind, Henri Cartier-Bresson.
Yes, of course, I know him. And I learned also from Cartier-Bresson, just for the fact what he took and what he saw.
Yeah.
He has the right eyes.
I think he had the eye of an architect. That's why I mention it.
Oh, absolutely. I agree completely with you.
Professor Herzberger, it was a pleasure and an honor to have you with us tonight. We teach your work at universities. I think we're all your students from afar and not just in Greece. You have made things that have influenced us. So it was a great honor and a pleasure really to talk to you and to hear you talk about architecture.
It was a pleasure for me, and I hope next time we meet on the Acropolis.
Certainly we will take you around. Thank you very much. So I think we're ended here. Mr. Mindiridziou would like to...
Taion, we have to see the Erechtaion. That is...
I know...
Erechtaion, what do you say? Erechtaion.
We say Erechtaion. The English say Erechtaion. But I have heard an interesting story from Dimitris Antonakakis, who also knew Aldo van Eyck. He said when Aldo van Eyck came to Athens, he asked to go and see Erechtaion.
Also.
So he took him.
I told him to go there.
You told him to go. So he went, he saw that, and then Antonakakis made a program. So what are we going to see next? And Fanaik said, that's enough. He said, but there are other things to show you. He said, no. This is enough to digest now. I remember this story. One thing is enough to understand.
I always want to see more. I would say after the Erechtion, we should go into the streets
Yes.
of Athens and have a Uzo on the terrace next time.
Be in good health and come next year. All of us will take you around.
Mr. Herzberger, thank you very much again for your lecture. It was wonderful. And again, I want to see you next year in person in one event. Thank you very much. So,
it's closing time. We did it, Florin.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Is there something you want to say? This is it. We bid good night to everybody.
Okay, I want to say good night to everybody if you suggest me. And I want to say thank you to all of you. My gratitude to the Hellenic Institute of Architecture for your help, for your support. And we hope that we confirmed with this third edition of Share in Athens. Maybe for sure we'll continuing next year.
Live.
And for sure next year we'll be in person and we'll see face to face in Athens, a beautiful and wonderful town. Thank you very much again and hope to see you healthy next year.
Keep well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Bye to everybody. Bye.